workshop for December 4th, 2018. Item number 1 on the agenda is approval of the November 13, 2018 minutes.
Motion.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
We have a second.
Second? Discussion?
Wait now.
How's those hearing aids doing,
Oh,
guys?
yeah. Still right.
I'm going for my own check, also remember. Mr. Butler, we have now doing roll call votes on just about everything except adjournment. So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Porter.
Oh, I'm sorry. We did that.
I mean, I don't
The big guys,
mind.
you're
I like
right.
to participate.
Yeah, I'm
so-
sorry. My apologies. I was in Thursday night mode.
Okay, Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Mr. Weaver,
Aye.
Mr. Collins.
Aye. I am so sorry. My bad.
Okay with that.
Next thing on the agenda, I'm going to pass around some documentation that I want you all to see. This is the follow-up to the visit that we had from Commissioner Driehaus a couple of weeks ago regarding programs that the Hamilton County Heroin Coalition is involved with. Commissioner Driehaus gave my name and number to Mary Haig, who is the president, I believe, president and CEO of Prevention First. Prevention First is an organization that was actually founded by Rob Portman, and it is a community involvement program that has a number of different areas where they attempt to engage the community in activities primarily in the area of opioid prevention. The township had been involved indirectly with Prevention First for several years. Tom, I'm sure you will recall, there was an organization called NECC where, and they were the ones who had interacted with Prevention First, and they had programs in Sycamore, Moeller, and CHCA high schools. And there would be an annual breakfast where the trustees would be invited to, and they would update on programs, and the students would give presentations and whatnot. But NECC is no longer active. Dr. Loretta Novins, who was their president, retired a few years ago, and no one picked up the program out in the community, so it sort of shriveled up. But I spoke at length with Mary and with Jennifer Beerer, who is the program manager for environmental prevention. The reason I mentioned her name is because one of the things that we talked about as a possible way for the township to help work with Prevention First would be in the area of community forums. The NECC activity was solely directed at high school kids. These community forums are actually panel discussions about prevention, treatment, harm reduction, which is what the name that they give to activities like Narcan distribution and needle exchange, and also law enforcement. And Prevention First works with sponsoring community organizations, not necessarily with government agencies, but with community organizations to put on these community forums. They're open to everyone. They're not just student related. They're open to parents, to church groups, to civic groups. Usual 2-hour forums, including questions and answers. You usually get about 50 people who attend the session. They do no more than one per month, and they said that planning a community forum is about a 3-month process, because they'll work with the sponsoring organization to identify speakers, set up an agenda, promote, etc. So they said it's about a 3-month lead time to do a community forum. There's a grant program that is funded by the federal government where organizations can apply for a $200 grant to help with funding the activities, materials, etc. They do this funding on every 6 months. They have a deadline for applying to receive a grant to sponsor a community forum. The most recent one, the deadline expired, was November 30th, so they've already got their applications in place for the next 6 months. That'll cover them through the first 6 months of 2019, but they are expecting to be refunded again, and they will be accepting applications for grants next year for the second half of 2019. As I said, community organizations are typically the ones who organize and sponsor these community forums: schools, churches, neighborhood groups, law enforcement, community organizations, etc. It takes at least 2 organizations working together to apply for the grant to sponsor a community forum. As I see it initially, the township involvement would be, I think you could offer them a location where they could have it, and could also help in promoting the event, out into the community. But it's the community groups that take the lead in planning and executing this function, which probably makes sense, because really at the end of the day, it's the people who are gonna be the ones, it's not the government that's gonna make the ultimate change. It's gonna be the community, the people involved. After my meeting with her, I thought there just suggestions that I have, things that I thought might be ways that, I think the community forum sounds like it might be a worthwhile thing to look into. But we have two different segments of our township, and I thought and from talking to her, there might be 2 different ways to engage the community depending on which part of the geography you're talking about. In the north, it might be the more traditional approach. There is already a High Point Block Watch, Neighborhood Watch group that's already organized. They might be someone who might be interested in hearing about or maybe getting involved in something like this. And since they already work with law enforcement on that, maybe that might be something, Tori, that the sheriff's department and maybe the Block Watch people might be interested, or could talk about the possibility of maybe applying for a grant and maybe hosting one of these community forums. What they'll do is they'll bring in, it's a panel discussion and then questions and answers. The panel is on the 4 areas that I talked about: prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and law enforcement. So, and there are representatives from all of those. Mary Haig, who is the president, said she herself serves on the panel a lot of times as one of the speakers as well. That's kind of the traditional way that these things have been done in the past, and I offer that as a possible option for the northern communities. In the south, it might be a little bit different. She told me that they already work with Deer Park High School. They've been in regular contact with Jay Phillips, the superintendent, and Stacy Orso, who's principal of Deer Park High School. So they already work with them on prevention activities. So she thought that maybe getting the school involved, there might even be a way to get students and or faculty also active, maybe in the panel discussion or in the overall process. And then church groups might be another way to partner with them. It might be something. Tracy and I had a conversation offline where he said it's possible that his church might be one that might be open to being a co-sponsor and working with our high school to help promote an activity like this. So that's just one thing that I throw out there just as a follow-up, as an activity that might be, and then if either of these 2 organizations are interested in pursuing it, I think it's something that the township could possibly help with them in terms of promotion and also in terms of offering a location, where these events can be held. Secondarily, I only have 1 copy of this. They also have a Strong Voices, Smart Choices Parents Guide that they make available, and they reprint these periodically. And it's the kind of thing where community organizations, sometimes government agencies, sometimes law enforcement, sometimes church groups will pay to get a bunch of these and offer them free of charge to their residents or their group members, whatever. They're $1 copy to print, and I thought if there is a community forum activity in either or both parts of the township, that might be something we might suggest maybe the township fund printing of some books, have those available as handouts, and then we have some, an extra supply available here at the township, which is being made available to anybody who might be interested. So that's what I found out in my meeting with Mary and with Jennifer. I'm open to any comments or suggestions as well. I have both of their contact information, we need to get back in touch with prevention first. But I thought that might be something that, might be a way that we can help encourage, some involvement going forward in terms of trying to deal with the opioid crisis.
I agree with you, Denny. I think, and thanks for quarterbacking this. I think we certainly have the venues to handle it, and I think it would be appropriate for Sycamore Township to be a participating sponsor member type thing with whether it's a church, whether it's however we go to get a partner to make that work. I think it's a great idea. It's a problem that's not going away. We're going to continue to be faced with this, and getting at the prevention part of it, the root, is really the root part of it, to be honest with you. So I think it's great, and it's great to be quarterbacking this.
I agree with that, and I think it'd be a good idea to buy those Prairie guidebooks when we have those meetings with them.
Those books would be good in Firehouse too, and the lobby. We get a lot of visitors that come in there, a lot of people stop by, so we can put those out there.
Yeah, I think, the cost, I think, is certainly reasonable, and we can have an extra supply that we have available at the firehouse here. Even leave it, maybe at Chiller as well for when those related group activities there.
And Denny, do I see that book?
Yeah.
Couple questions, Denny.
Yes.
You mentioned the north, obviously that could be done at the Schuler Park facility. The central, what were your thoughts as far as the location
Probably here.
in the township
Yeah,
administration?
the audience is usually about 50 people. I think this room could probably hold it.
Okay. And then you may have forgotten, but there is an organization that exists called the Sycamore Township Civic Association that was instrumental in bringing these concerns to the township. I'd hope you'd encourage their involvement. There are a lot of community members that want to help Sycamore Township, and that would be an excellent organization for that.
I think it would be, I certainly encourage anyone in the public who is interested in getting involved and wanting to promote activities like this to contact us and make their feelings known. We'd be glad to work with any organization that's interested in doing something to address this issue. Okay?
Is this the same Jennifer Beer that used to work with the health department?
Probably.
Safe Communities?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I used to work with her years ago.
Okay.
I was in traffic safety, so
Mhm.
a lot of experience with her in the past. Now it's been some years, but she coordinated a high school program. We participated in these sessions in all the schools, so
Okay.
there's familiarity there.
Yeah.
What's good with that?
Sounds like she's going into the private sector, I guess, in this, but yeah, it must be the same person, I'm sure. She would be the one, the community forums are generally her responsibility to work with partnering organizations to make that happen, so. Okay.
Then you said that they're already working with their department, Jay Phillips and Stacy. Are they already doing,
I think they're doing some things, I don't know if it's within the curriculum or whether it's
They're doing the
extracurricular
forums
activity.
already.
They're not doing the forums.
They're not, okay.
No, they have not done a forum. The forum is open to the broader community than just the high school.
Yeah.
They're working with the high school primarily on education programs. I think they consult with the faculty on, how it can be incorporated into their curriculum, and then if there's any other extracurricular activities that are strictly school, I think they're involved in that, but not community forums as far as I know. Okay? All right. Planning and zoning update, Harry.
Basically, I have 3 resolutions for the board to consider. This is a continuation of one of the properties that we've already declared on 7th Avenue. There was actually 4 separate parcels. So this is a continuation of those, so we can clean them all.
Okay.
So I have a resolution providing for and authorizing weed cutting and debris removal and declaring a nuisance for the property located at 12173 7th Avenue, Sycamore Township, Ohio, 45249, dispensing with the second reading and declaring an emergency.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second,
Second. Okay, Harry, anything else you want to say about that? You don't have to, I just thought maybe, I thought you were going to continue.
Well, I was going to give you the partial ID because there's 3 separate IDs, but that's okay. I mean, it is spelled out on the resolution itself.
Okay,
You showed us pictures before this meeting.
I have,
Yeah.
I've already declared it.
That's a multiple offender there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Mr. Butler, would you read the parcel number? Is it listed in the, so we,
Auditor's parcel number 060000110117. I'm sorry, 187.
okay. And we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Porter?
Mr. LaBarber?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Mr. Connor?
Aye.
I have a second resolution providing for and authorizing weed cutting and debris removal and declaring a nuisance for the property located at 12173 7th Avenue, Sycamore Township, Ohio, 45249, dispensing with the second reading and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
We have a second, parcel number, please.
Parcel number 060000110188.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Mr. Porter?
Mr. LaBarber?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Mr. Connor?
Aye.
The final one I have for your consideration is a resolution providing for and authorizing weed cutting and debris removal and declaring a nuisance for the property located at 12173 7th Avenue, Sycamore Township, Ohio, 45249, dispensing with the second reading and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Sure, we have a second. Second, parcel number.
Partial ID number 060000110189.
Any additional discussion? Mr. Porter?
Mr. LaBarber?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Mr. Connor?
Aye. That items 3 and 4, do you have any?
Yeah, but the other one will come down here a little later, and they have to do with 2 upcoming cases, and Mr. Baker and I will be going over that jointly.
Okay, all right, so we've covered 3 and 4 then, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Fire department update, chief.
Couple things, the bunk room's probably gonna be finished up this week. Things are moving along with that. We did get, have them give us quotes to do the training room as well. I haven't gotten that yet from him. The Stop the Bleed with the FBI Citizens Academy back in November went very well. The FBI was very impressed, and they actually want to buy some of the Stop the Bleed tourniquets from us. So I don't know if they'll get it from us or just buy it through the vendor, but they wanted to outfit their agents with those. So it was very effective. Dr. J was there, Mike Kramer, and they did a class for him. They really liked it.
Yeah.
So, the other thing is, our SCBA's, this is gonna cost you money. Our SCBA's, we have to have annual fit tests done on those yearly.
SCBA's being?
Our self-contained breathing apparatus, bottles that we wear.
Yeah.
And this is required, but what it does is they put the face mask on a mannequin's head and it breathes and it makes sure the mask doesn't leak, that there's no leaks and that sort of thing. And of course, if it breaks, if there's anything in these parts, and they have to with paper parts and everything. Well, because this is an annual event, it costs us anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 a year to have this done. And one of my full-timers that's in charge of our SCBA's, he went to a class on how to do this fit testing, and he's capable of doing it. He has the equipment, we bought the tools and the equipment to repair the packs. If we can spend $12,858 to buy the software and the machine that do the fit testing, we can do it all ourselves in-house. And over 3 years, it'll pay for itself, and then we'd be out of the $3,000 to $4,000 cost every year after that.
Do you need somebody that's certified to run those?
No. You have to have somebody that's certified to do the class, and he did that.
Okay.
So,
So we
that was
certified.
it, yeah, so that's the only thing that we had to do. So, you know, it's a money savings thing for us, it's all in-house. In the past, we've had to pack them up in a box, send them out, ship them out, have them done, and then have them shipped back. We pay for all that, we pay for any repairs that have to be done, and then we're out of those packs for 2 or 3 weeks. or he can just do them on house right here when he's on duty, and it'll be a lot quicker, and in the long run, it's gonna pay off for not putting out that money every year.
Chief, what was the cost up front? I didn't.
It's $12,858 for the unit.
So when we go through all those units once, what does it cost us to transit?
About $3,000 to $4,000 I have all of them fit tested a year,
What's the life of that?
10 years plus. It's, I
So
mean, the only,
we could use TIF on it?
oh yeah, because the only thing that we would have to do to that machine is probably do software updates, which is minimal cost. But the unit itself will last as long as it can,
Once that.
10 years plus.
Once that testing is done, is there some sort of a certification we have to document
Oh,
to
yeah.
some authority that we have done that?
Yeah, well,
And
we
we
just
can do that
document it, we
this-
can do it all ourselves.
In this
yeah.
method?
Mhm.
Okay. Boy, that sure seems to make sense.
And what we do is if a unit fails or then we just have to show that it was tested, that it was, went through its, which if we didn't do anything, it would be a liability on us, so.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Do we need a motion on that?
That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the expenditure.
I'll second that.
Second.
That's good.
I think that the only other discussion I would have is I think it makes great sense to be able to keep that in-house and not having to pack these things up and send them out.
Yeah,
If it's gonna pay for itself.
put them back in service right away, and plus,
Yeah.
after 3 years, it's paid for, and
Hey,
we're saving
Chief.
money there.
So what are the other departments? Are they all sending them out or are they doing it themselves?
Actually, it's mixed. Some of them bought the machine and done it themselves.
I mean, we may wanna look at some of these other departments around us and
Well, we've been
do it
think-
for them
we've
and
been
pay
thinking
off
about
the thing
that.
twice as fast. That
We've
would
been
probably be a
thinking about
good
that,
idea. And they probably would appreciate that, so they don't have to
Yeah.
package them all up and send them out.
Yeah,
Truck and take it.
we definitely been thinking about that. Once we get it, we'll reach out to the departments and see if it's something to do.
Chief, the FBI Citizen County, I'm an alum of that group, but, and wasn't able to make it. How many people were out there?
I think he said around 35.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it was a pretty good turnout.
That's great.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize the chief to make that expenditure. Mr. Porter?
Mr. O'Donnell? Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Mr. Connor?
Aye.
All done.
Great, thank you very much. Is this equipment update season? I guess that's like a lot of checks for
Oh, yeah.
uniform and all.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Every year, all the turnout gear has to be clean,